This is intensely personal. And why the atoning crucifixion means so much more when you understand how special Christ's sacrifice was for you. One of the arguing points between Calvinists and the anti-Calvinists is the idea of limited, or the better word would be particular atonement. The anti-Calvinists argue that Christ died for every single person who ever lived, despite it only being a cup, which he agreed to drink, and God reserving 7 full bowls of wrath for the world. Because their concept of love is more of a universal, hippie version, they need to say that the cross made salvation possible for everyone, and now it's up to you to accept or reject it. Jesus' words in Gethsemane couldn't be any clearer. John 17:9, I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. The Calvinist, and I say biblical, concept of love is far more intimate. God compares his chosen people to a bride. The word is foreknowledge. It almost has a sexual connotation to it. You are precious to God. You as an individual. And if you were the only person on earth, Christ would have died to save you. Because he loves you that much. He does not make salvation possible and leave it up to you to take it or leave it. You are far too precious to him for that. He endures the betrayal, the ridicule, the desecration, the embarrassment, the beatings, the scourging, the torture, the abandonment of the Father, and death itself to ensure your salvation. You are his love, and nothing can separate you from him, not even death. He will do whatever is required to seal you to be with him forever in heaven. In terms which we can relate, the Arminian version of the cross is like Superman dying while saving the world. Sure is heroic, and I'm definitely glad and thankfully did it, but it isn't the same as the Calvinist version, which looks at the cross as if Superman sacrificed his life for Lois Lane. In the Calvinist version, Christ's death is so much more intimate. Greater love has no man than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. With this understanding, his sacrifice is so much more devastating, and my gratitude is so much deeper. He gave everything for me. How can I possibly give anything less? When his death is something he did for the world, I'm still glad to jump on board and benefit from it. But when it is something he did for me, I am that much more aware of how undeserving I am. Romans 5. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though for a good person someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Since we have now been justified by his blood, how much more shall we be saved from God's wrath through him? For if, while we were God's enemies, we were reconciled to him through the death of his Son, how much more, having been reconciled, shall we be saved through his life? When the crucifixion is looked at as a general atonement, I see a Roman centurion nailing Jesus to a cross. When I understand what the scriptures really say about particular atonement, I see that it is my hands nailing him. There's no debate about who killed Christ, the Romans or the Jews. It was me. I betrayed him to the Sanhedrin for 30 pieces of silver. I denied him way more than 3 times. I chose my Barabbas over him. I washed my hands of him. I mocked him. And it is my sin which makes his crucifixion necessary. Not only all my past sin, but from here forward, every time I choose between what I want and what I know is right, I live with the knowledge that my sin heaps one more lash on his back, one more minute on the cross.